Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. If you want to grow, succeed, live with purpose, and have peace in your life, there are 5 things you absolutely must work on every single day. Not sometimes, not when you feel like it, every day, because success don't show up uninvited. You got to go knock on its door. You ever notice how 2 people can go through the exact same situation and come out with completely different attitudes? One person sees a challenge and says, "This is it. I'm done." The other looks at that same challenge and says, "All right, let's figure this out." Now, what's the difference? It's not the situation, it's the mindset. See, your mindset is the soil from which everything else in your life grows. If your thoughts are filled with fear, doubt, negativity, then no matter what you try to build, it's going to struggle to take root. But when you cultivate a mindset of faith, resilience, and possibility, you create space for growth. You create space for miracles. Every morning when you wake up, your mind is like a blank slate, and the first things you allow into it will shape how your day goes. That's why you can't start your day with drama, scrolling through other people's problems, or drowning in the news. That's like throwing garbage into the engine and wondering why the car won't run. You've got to train your mind like it's a muscle. That means feeding it with positivity, affirmations, prayer, meditation, whatever lifts your spirit and keeps you centered. You've got to catch those negative thoughts before they spiral. Don't let one bad moment turn into a bad day just because you didn't stop and redirect your thinking. You got to start seeing obstacles not as walls, but as detours. That doesn't mean ignore the pain or pretend everything's perfect. No, it means choose your perspective. Choose to believe that what you're facing isn't here to break you, but to build you. You ever talk to someone who always expects the worst? Like, no matter what good thing is happening, they always find the storm cloud behind the sunshine. That's a mindset issue. And if they keep thinking like that, eventually they're going to start living like that. Your thoughts become your words become your habits, and your habits become your life. So if you don't like where your life is headed, you've got to trace it back to how you're thinking. There's something powerful that happens when you wake up and say, "I don't care what's coming today. I'm going to meet it with faith, with strength, and with focus." When you decide that no matter how the world moves, you get to choose how you move, that's when you take back your power. Nobody's born with a winning mindset. It's something you work on every day. And just like brushing your teeth or working out, if you stop doing it, things start to decay. So it ain't about doing it when life is smooth. It's about doing it even when everything's on fire around you. That's when mindset matters most. You can have all the skills, all the connections, all the knowledge in the world, but if your mind ain't right, you're going to self-sabotage every time opportunity knocks. You'll talk yourself out of blessings. You'll quit before you even try. That's why this isn't just some motivational fluff. It's survival. It's necessary. So the question is, what kind of mindset are you feeding? What kind of voice are you letting speak the loudest in your head? Because if it's a voice that tells you you're not enough, that you can't do it, that you're too late, too broken, too anything, then you better shut that voice down and replace it with truth. You are more powerful than you realize, but you'll never tap into that power if your mind is your biggest enemy. Make it your greatest ally instead, because once your mind is right, everything else will start to line up. Let me tell you something real simple. Your life right now is a direct result of the habits you've been living with. Not the big flashy moments, not the once in a while wins. It's the little things you do every single day that shape what your reality looks like. It's not about what you do occasionally, it's about what you do consistently. And that consistency, that's your habits. People love to talk about goals. I want to be successful. I want to get in shape. I want to build a business. I want to have peace. And that's great. Having a vision is necessary. But vision without habits is just a dream. And dreams without action will keep you stuck in the same place year after year. If you want to change your life, you don't need to overhaul everything in a day. You just need to start with your habits. Because habits are like invisible architects. They're either building your future or tearing it down. And the crazy part is most people don't even realize what they've been practicing every day. You might think your habits are small and harmless, but they're quietly stacking up. And over time, they become who you are. You wake up late every day and hit snooze 5 times? That's not just a morning issue. That's reinforcing the idea that your comfort is more important than your purpose. You spend every evening scrolling through social media instead of learning something new or investing in yourself. That's training your brain to seek distractions instead of direction. You keep breaking promises to yourself. I'll start tomorrow. I'll do better next week. You're teaching yourself that your word don't matter. That's dangerous. On the flip side, when you start showing up for yourself daily, even in the smallest ways, it adds up. You start to walk with more confidence. You start to trust yourself. You start to feel momentum, and that momentum becomes fuel. The power of a habit isn't in how big it is. It's in the way it compounds. Think about a drop of water. By itself, it seems like nothing, but over time, drip by drip, it can carve through stone. That's how habits work. They carve the shape of your life, whether you realize it or not. And here's the real kicker. Your brain loves habits. It craves routine because habits conserve energy. Once something becomes automatic, your brain doesn't have to work as hard. That's why bad habits are so hard to break and good ones are hard to build. But once you push through that resistance, once it becomes part of your rhythm, it gets easier. It starts to flow. You got to decide what kind of habits line up with the person you want to become, because you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. You can want success all day, but if your daily routine is full of distractions, procrastination, and excuses, that success is going to stay out of reach. Successful people don't get there by accident. They don't stumble into greatness. They practice greatness in private long before the world sees the results. They do the things others aren't willing to do every day, without applause, without recognition, just pure commitment. And that commitment, it's made up of habits. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be intentional. Start small. Make your bed. Drink water first thing in the morning. Read 10 pages a day. Say no to things that waste your time. Move your body. Speak kindly to yourself. These things seem small, but they shape how you see yourself. And when how you see yourself starts to change, your whole reality follows. If your life feels messy right now, chaotic or stuck, take a look at your habits, not just the ones people see, but the ones nobody knows about, the ones in the quiet moments, the ones when nobody's watching. That's where real change begins. And don't just try to remove bad habits, replace them, fill the empty space with something meaningful. Otherwise, you'll fall right back into what's familiar. Your brain needs a new path to follow. The truth is, your future is hiding in your daily routine, not in some big break or perfect moment, but in the small decisions you make every day when it's hard, when you're tired, when no one's clapping. That's where transformation lives. So look around your life. Look at the results you're getting. Then look at what you're doing every day. If those two things don't match, it's time to change the rhythm. Because you don't get the life you want. You get the life you repeatedly create. Talent might open doors, but it's character that keeps them open. See, talent can impress people in a moment. It can get you noticed. It can put you in the spotlight. It can make folks clap for you, but talent without character is like a house with no foundation. It might look good from the outside, but the moment life shakes it a little, it all falls apart. Character is who you are when nobody's looking. It's the choices you make when there's no audience, no credit, no reward. It's how you treat people who can't do anything for you. And let's be real. In this world, there are a lot of talented people who never reach their potential because their character couldn't carry the weight of their gift. When your name is mentioned in a room, what do people associate with it? Not just your skill, not your resume, but your reputation. Are you someone who follows through? Are you someone who keeps your word? Do people trust you? Not just to deliver, but to handle things with integrity. Because if people can't trust you, they won't build with you. They might work with you short term, but they won't stick around. And you'll keep wondering why doors keep closing, not realizing it's not your talent that's the issue. It's your lack of accountability, your attitude, your ego, or your inability to admit when you're wrong. Character is what makes people feel safe around you. It's what creates respect. It's what turns short-term opportunities into long-term relationships. And in every area of life, business, friendship, love, relationships are the real currency. You can be the best at what you do, but if no one can count on you, it doesn't matter. There are plenty of stories, maybe even in your own life, of people who had all the potential in the world, but couldn't stay consistent, couldn't be humble, couldn't handle feedback, couldn't show up when it wasn't convenient. That's not a talent issue. That's a character issue. Character is built in the small things. It's built when you choose honesty over ease, when you take responsibility even when it's uncomfortable, when you treat others with kindness, not because of who they are, but because of who you are. It's built every time you take the high road, every time you do the right thing when it's the hard thing. And let's get one thing clear. Character doesn't mean being perfect. It means being real, being accountable, being teachable. It means admitting when you've messed up and being willing to grow from it. Some of the strongest character is built not through success, but through failure and how you respond to it. People remember how you make them feel long after the talent fades, long after the job is done, long after the performance is over. What stays with people is your character. Were you honest? Were you humble? Did you lift others up or tear them down? This world is full of people trying to out-talent each other. But the ones who really win, the ones who last, are the ones who outclass others in character. Because when it all hits the fan, and it will, your character is what determines whether people stand beside you or step away. So you want to build something that lasts? You want to be trusted, respected, and remembered for the right reasons? Then you've got to build your life on character. Because talent may get you in the room, but only character will give you a seat at the table that doesn't wobble when the pressure comes. You can have all the goals in the world, all the ambition, all the drive, but if you're surrounded by the wrong people, it'll feel like you're trying to run a race with a parachute strapped to your back. The people you keep close to you matter. They shape your mindset, your energy, your habits, and even your self-worth. Whether you realize it or not, relationships are one of the most powerful forces in your life. You ever notice how you can be having a good day, feeling productive, focused, and then you get around someone who's constantly negative, constantly complaining, constantly dragging things down, and suddenly your mood shifts. Your focus gets thrown off. Your motivation dips. That's not an accident. That's the effect people have on your spirit. Now, flip that. Think about how energized you feel when you talk to someone who encourages you, someone who challenges you to be better, someone who believes in you even when you're doubting yourself. That's the kind of relationship that fuels growth. That's the kind of connection you need to protect and nurture. But here's the thing. Those kinds of relationships don't just happen. They take effort, they take time, intentionality, and sometimes even hard conversations. You've got to be willing to pour into people who pour into you. You've got to be the friend, the partner, the family member who shows up with love, with truth, with consistency. Relationships aren't just built on shared memories. They're built on mutual respect, trust, and emotional investment. And you've also got to be honest about who no longer fits in your life. That's tough. It's real tough, especially when you've got history with someone. But just because you've known someone a long time doesn't mean they're good for you right now. If being around them constantly drains you, fills you with doubt, or pulls you back into old versions of yourself that you've outgrown, that's a sign. You can love people from a distance. You can wish them well without keeping them in your inner circle. Don't confuse loyalty with limitation. You were not put on this earth to shrink yourself just to stay connected to people who don't support your growth. Some people are only meant to be a chapter in your story, not the whole book. And that's okay. Letting go isn't about hate. It's about making space. Because when you clear the wrong people out of your life, you make room for the right ones to walk in. Your circle should challenge you, not compete with you. It should inspire you, not drain you. The right people will call you higher. They won't just tell you what you want to hear. They'll tell you what you need to hear. They'll hold you accountable. They'll celebrate your wins like they're their own, and they'll walk with you through the tough stuff without judgment. And while you're out there looking for people like that, ask yourself if you're being that kind of person too. Are you lifting others up? Are you bringing value to the people around you? Are you making the room better just by being in it? Relationships aren't just about what you can get. They're about what you can give. And the more you give, the more you'll attract that same energy back to you. Don't underestimate the power of connection. You weren't built to do life alone, but you also weren't built to drag dead weight. The quality of your relationships will either elevate your life or anchor you to the past. So take inventory, get honest about who's around you, and choose wisely, because the people closest to you are either helping you build or slowly tearing you down, and it's your job to know the difference. Your vision is one of the most valuable things you'll ever have. It's more than just a dream or a goal. It's the inner picture of the life you know you're meant to live. That picture might not be clear to everyone else, and that's okay. It's not supposed to be. It was given to you, not them. But because it's yours and yours alone, you've got to guard it with everything you've got. See, people love to speak on things they don't understand. They'll try to water down your ideas. They'll tell you it's too big, too risky, too unrealistic. And if you're not careful, if you're not intentional about protecting that vision, you'll start shrinking it to make other people comfortable. You'll start second guessing yourself, doubting your own gut. And before you know it, the fire that once lit you up starts to flicker. That's why you have to be selective about who you share your vision with. Everybody doesn't deserve front row seats to your process. Some folks only come to spectate, not to support. They can't see what you see because they weren't built to carry it. They might mean well, but they'll project their limitations onto your future if you let them. And it's not just about people. Distractions will come for your vision too. Comfort zones, comparison, fear, failure, even success. All of it can pull your focus away if you're not grounded in why you started. You've got to stay connected to the root of your vision. Write it down. Speak it over yourself daily. Visualize it. Keep it so alive in your spirit that nothing outside of you can shake it loose. The truth is, life will test you. The path to your vision is rarely a straight line. There'll be detours, delays, moments where it looks like everything's falling apart. And in those moments, your vision will be the only thing that keeps you going, not your motivation, not your resources, just the knowing deep inside that this is what you were built for, and it's still worth fighting for. People will come and go. Circumstances will change. Doors will open and close. But your vision, that's the anchor. That's the thing that tells you keep going. That's the compass that brings cloudy when everything else feels cloudy. That's the part of you that's connected to your purpose. And once you lose sight of it, everything else starts to feel off. Guarding your vision doesn't mean you don't adjust. It doesn't mean you don't grow or evolve. It means that whatever changes on the outside, the core of who you are and where you're headed stays intact. It means not trading long-term purpose for short-term approval. It means holding fast to what you know in your heart, even when it doesn't make sense to the people around you. And here's the thing, you don't need everyone to believe in your vision. You just need you to believe in it enough to keep showing up, keep working, keep building, keep walking by faith, step by step, even when you can't see the full path, because vision isn't about what's in front of your eyes, it's about what's inside your spirit. And when that vision is real, when it's rooted in something deeper than just status or money or ego, it will keep pulling you forward no matter what tries to hold you back. So protect it, feed it, focus on it, speak life into it. Because when your vision is clear and your energy is aligned with it, things start to shift, doors start to open, people start to appear, resources begin to line up. But none of that happens if you let go of the vision too soon. The most dangerous thing you can do is stop believing in what was planted in you just because it hasn't grown fast enough. Some things take time, but if it's real, if it's rooted in your purpose, then it's always worth guarding no matter what. Everybody wants the results, but not everybody wants to show up every single day. That's where the difference lies. Not in talent, not in luck, but in consistency. You can have the best intentions, the biggest dreams, the most detailed plans, but if you don't put in the work over and over again, you won't see the fruit. Because success doesn't respond to how badly you want it. It responds to how consistently you work for it. See, consistency isn't glamorous. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's not the part people post about. It's early mornings, late nights, doing the same small, simple things over and over when no one's watching and there's no applause. It's choosing discipline over motivation, because motivation fades, but discipline keeps showing up. You can't build anything real without consistency. A relationship, a career, a skill, a dream. None of it works without repeated effort. It's not about being perfect. It's about being committed. You're not going to feel inspired every day. You're not going to feel strong every day. But if you can keep going even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when it feels like nothing is changing, that's when growth is happening. That's where the magic is. Think about it like this. Drops of water don't break rock because they're strong. They break rock because they don't stop. That's what consistency does. It chips away, it builds strength, it builds confidence, and eventually it creates breakthroughs. You ever start something new, maybe a workout, a business idea, a habit, and you go hard for a few days, maybe a week, you feel fired up, ready to change your life, but then something happens. You miss a day, then another, suddenly the momentum's gone and it feels like starting over. That's because consistency isn't just about action, it's about rhythm. It's about building something sustainable, not extreme. Something you can keep doing, not just when you feel good, but especially when you don't. Consistency builds credibility, not just with others, but with yourself. Every time you follow through on what you said you'd do, you send a message to yourself. I can trust me. That kind of self-trust is priceless, because once you trust yourself, your confidence goes through the roof. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop making excuses. You just move because it's who you are now. The most successful people aren't necessarily the smartest or the most talented. They're the ones who kept going when others stopped. They're the ones who kept planting seeds day after day, even when the ground looked dry. And eventually those seeds sprouted. People often underestimate what they can do in a year because they overestimate what they can do in a day. But consistency isn't about huge leaps. It's about steady steps. One workout, one healthy meal, one chapter read, one page written, one sale made. Do that for a week, then a month, then a year. Now watch your life look completely different. You don't have to move fast. You just have to keep moving. Momentum isn't created by speed, it's created by repetition. Every rep makes you stronger. Every day builds the habit. Every small win stacks up. And the best part, the more consistent you are, the easier it gets. The action becomes part of your identity. You no longer have to think about it. It becomes your standard. But here's the truth most people don't like to admit. Inconsistency is comfortable. It gives you an out. It lets you start and stop when it feels hard. But that comfort comes at a cost. Your progress, your confidence, your peace. And the longer you stay in that cycle of starting and stopping, the harder it gets to break. So make a choice. Decide what matters enough to show up for, and then make showing up your non-negotiable. Not because you always feel like it, but because it's aligned with who you're becoming. Consistency is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. And the only way to across that bridge is one step at a time every single day. You can't move forward while holding on to the very things that are weighing you down. If you want to rise, if you want to grow, if you want to walk fully into the life you were meant for, you've got to be willing to release what's been keeping you stuck. Sometimes the only thing standing between you and your next level is the baggage you refuse to drop. Letting go isn't weakness, it's strength. It takes courage to look at something, a mindset, a habit, a relationship, a fear, and say, this doesn't serve me anymore. It takes maturity to realize that not everything or everyone can come with you where you're going. And it takes wisdom to know that growth often requires subtraction before addition. We hold on to things for a lot of reasons: familiarity, guilt, fear of the unknown. We convince ourselves that it's safer to stay where we are, even if it's painful, than to step into the unknown. But comfort zones are often just cages dressed up in routine. Just because you've gotten used to something doesn't mean it's good for you. Just because it's been part of your story doesn't mean it has to be part of your future. Ask yourself, what are you carrying that you should have dropped a long time ago? Is it a story you keep telling yourself about why you're not good enough? Is it resentment that's been eating you up for years? Is it the fear of failure that stops you from even starting? Is it a toxic environment, a draining relationship, or an old identity that no longer fits who you're becoming? You cannot conquer new territory while dragging the weight of the past behind you. You have to create space mentally, emotionally, spiritually to receive something better. And that space doesn't create itself. You have to be intentional. You have to clean house. And yeah, sometimes that's painful. Letting go doesn't always feel good in the moment, but holding on too long, that's what really steals your joy, your peace, and your power. Forgiveness is a big part of this too, not just forgiving others, but forgiving yourself. For the mistakes you made, for the time you wasted, for the things you didn't know back then. You're human. You were doing the best you could with what you had. But don't keep reliving old chapters. You've got new pages to write. And that can't happen if you're stuck in the loop of your past decisions. Sometimes what holds you back isn't even something heavy. It's something subtle. The quiet fear of judgment, the need for approval, the habit of second-guessing every decision. These things might not scream at you, but they slowly chip away at your confidence. They hold you back by keeping you small. You weren't created to live a life that's dimmed down just to make others comfortable. You were meant to shine, but you can't do that when your light is buried under doubt and fear. Letting go is a process, not an overnight decision. It happens little by little, one thought at a time, one boundary at a time, one honest conversation at a time. But each time you release something that's been holding you back, you reclaim a piece of your power. And with every piece you take back, you get lighter, you get freer, you get clearer. Life has a way of rewarding those who make room for what they truly want. The universe responds to release. When you let go of what no longer fits, you create the opportunity for something greater to take its place. But you have to trust the process. You have to trust that what's in front of you has more to offer than what's behind you. So check your grip. What are you still holding on to that you should be letting go of? Because sometimes it's not that the dream is too far, it's just that your hands are too full to reach for it. There's a voice in your head that speaks to you all day long. Every decision you make, every risk you take or don't take starts with that voice. The question is, whose voice is it? Is it yours, or is it a collection of what others have said about you, what the world told you you were, what fear whispered in your ear when things got hard? Because if you're not intentional, the voice in your head will start sounding a lot like your past, your pain, or your doubt instead of your purpose. You got to take control of that voice. You got to be the loudest one in the room when it comes to your own life. Nobody else lives in your mind. Nobody else feels what you feel, dreams what you dream, or carries what you carry. So you can't afford to let someone else's opinion or your own insecurities narrate your story. That voice needs to speak life. It needs to speak courage. It needs to sound like someone who knows where they're going, even when they haven't arrived yet. Because you know what happens when you don't? You start shrinking. You start playing small. You start doubting yourself before you even try. And every time you do that, you chip away at your own confidence. Every time you let fear finish your sentence, you train your brain to expect failure. Every time you agree with the voice that says you can't, you're not ready, or you're not enough, you reinforce the lie, and that lie becomes your limit. But here's the truth. You can rewrite the story in your head. You can teach your voice a new language, one that sounds like power, one that sounds like truth, one that doesn't wait for permission to believe in who you are. Start by catching the old voice when it shows up, the one that always points to your flaws, your fears, your failures, and then interrupt it. Replace it with something that moves you forward, not something that holds you back. It's not about pretending everything's perfect. It's about speaking to yourself with the same grace and encouragement you'd give someone you love. If your best friend came to you full of dreams but afraid to try, what would you say? You're not good enough? No. You'd say, you've got this, one step at a time. You're doing better than you think. So why don't you speak to yourself that way? You've got to hype yourself up when no one else is. You've got to remind yourself what you're capable of, even when the evidence isn't in front of you yet. Because mindset is momentum. What you say to yourself becomes what you believe, and what you believe becomes what you do. And don't get it twisted. Being your own voice doesn't mean you're always confident. It means you've made a decision to believe in your value even on the days you feel low. It means you've chosen to stand up for yourself when self-doubt tries to tear you down. It means you're no longer waiting for outside validation to feel worthy. You are worthy right here, right now, and your inner voice should reflect that. This world is loud. Social media, news, opinions, noise from every direction. But at the end of the day, the most powerful words you'll ever hear are the ones you say to yourself. So say the ones that build you. Say the ones that remind you why you started. Say the ones that keep you standing when life tries to knock you down. Because that voice, that's your weapon. That's your anchor. That's your guide. Be the voice in your own head that says, keep going. You matter. You've come too far to give up now. Train your mind to become a place where your dreams feel safe, where your courage gets louder than your fear, where your faith drowns out your doubt. Because once your inner voice changes, your whole life starts to follow. So let me leave you with this. Every single day you've got a choice. You can stay where you are, held back by fear, doubt, comfort, and noise, or you can rise. You can build the life you keep imagining, one step, one decision, one habit at a time. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need all the answers. You just need to be willing. Willing to do the work, willing to stay consistent, willing to believe in something bigger than what you see. Your mindset, your habits, your character, your relationships, your vision. They're not side notes. They are the story. And when you commit to working on those 5 things every day, you're not just improving your life, you're transforming it quietly, steadily, powerfully. So don't wait for the right time. Don't wait for someone to come along and validate what's already inside you. Get up, show up, speak life over yourself, protect your peace, move with purpose, and never forget you are both the author and the voice of your own story.